Have you ever stopped to think that there are still people in the world living completely isolated, far away from technology, the internet, and everything we consider civilization? For most of us, that sounds impossible, but the truth is, there are tribes so mysterious, so closed off, and in some cases so hostile that encountering them is not only dangerous, but also downright terrifying. Today, you're going to discover some of the most feared tribes on the planet, the ones you definitely would not want to cross paths with. Stay until the end, because the last one is so shocking, it will change the way you imagine the most remote corners of the Earth. Let's start with North Sentinel Island, located in the Andaman Archipelago in the Indian Ocean. There lives the Sentinelese tribe, one of the most isolated peoples in the world. They reject any outside contact and immediately attack anyone who comes near their island. Helicopters have been shot at with arrows, boats have been destroyed, and even humanitarian aid attempts ended in tragedy. In 2018, an American missionary tried to step onto the island to preach his religion. He never came back alive. The Sentinelese fiercely defend their territory, and no one knows exactly how many they are or how they live in detail. The mystery surrounding them only makes the fear of approaching even greater. Another tribe that gives people chills is the Korowai, who live in Papua, Indonesia. For years, they became infamous worldwide for accounts of cannibalism. According to anthropologists, the Korowai believed in evil spirits called kahua, and when they suspected someone was possessed, they would kill that person and even consume parts of the body as a ritual. Although today this rarely happens, just their reputation is enough to rank them among the most feared tribes on Earth. They also build towering tree houses more than 20 meters above the ground, like human nests, giving their villages a surreal and intimidating appearance. In Africa, we find the Mercy of Ethiopia. They're famous for their warrior rituals and extreme body modifications. The women wear large clay plates in their lower lips, a practice that began as resistance against slavery, but has now become a symbol of identity. The men perform violent combats called donga, where they fight each other with long wooden sticks, often ending in serious injuries. Seeing such a scene up close is to feel the raw force of their culture. Any outsider approaching without respect could quickly find themselves in serious danger. Close by, also in Ethiopia, are the Suri. Similar to the Mursi, they are known for body scarifications and stick-fighting battles. But what makes them even more intimidating is that they are often armed, not just with traditional weapons like spears and machetes, but sometimes even with firearms. Ongoing territorial conflicts with neighboring tribes have made them extremely suspicious of strangers. Getting close without permission can easily be seen as a threat, and the consequences would be far from friendly. Now imagine walking through the Amazon rainforest and suddenly coming across the Yanomami. Although today they are better known and legally protected in Brazil and Venezuela, for decades they had a reputation for violent confrontations with invaders and neighboring tribes. Historical accounts also describe rituals where cremated human remains were consumed as part of ceremonies. While this is no longer common, just the thought of it is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Another Amazonian tribe that can be intimidating is the Zoe in northern Brazil. They're easily recognized by the tembeta, a long wooden ornament that pierces the lower lip, sometimes reaching up to 20 centimeters. Although they are not hostile like the Sentinelese, the sight of men walking armed with bows and arrows, all with giant pieces of wood through their mouths, would terrify any unprepared traveler. In New Guinea, there are the Asmat, one of the most feared tribes in history. They became infamous because, for centuries, they practiced cannibalistic rituals tied to revenge and spiritual beliefs. In 1961, The heir of the Rockefeller family mysteriously disappeared in their territory, and many still believe he was killed by the Asmat. Today, the tribe lives more peacefully, but their reputation remains. Just hearing the name Asmat is enough to stir fear and curiosity. The Himba of Namibia are also striking. They cover their bodies with a mixture of animal fat and ochre, turning their skin into deep red tones that make them look like figures sculpted from clay. The visual is impressive, but for an unsuspecting traveler, it might be frightening, especially if encountered suddenly in the desert. The Himba are proud of their traditions and don't take kindly to disrespect. In North America, historical accounts describe the Comanches as one of the most feared tribes of the 19th century. Skilled horsemen and ruthless warriors, they carried out lightning raids that terrified settlers and even other indigenous groups. Though no longer dangerous today, their reputation as fierce and unstoppable fighters has left a permanent mark in history. Another example is the Maasai of Tanzania. While not hostile to tourists, their warrior initiation rituals are terrifying. In the past, young men had to face lions as a test of courage. Imagine teenagers armed only with spears going against the king of the savannah. Though no longer practiced today, this tradition shaped the image of the Maasai as one of the most fearless peoples on earth. In Peru, there are the Mashco Piro, known for living in isolation in the Amazon rainforest. They reject any contact with outsiders, and there are reports of them attacking people who approached. The Peruvian government warns against trying to contact them to avoid tragedy. Just imagine walking in the jungle, feeling watched, knowing hidden archers could be aiming at you. The thought alone is chilling. Also in Tanzania are the Hadza, one of the last true hunter-gatherer peoples in the world. They are not violent, but their way of life can be intimidating. They hunt with poisoned arrows and live completely isolated from technology. For outsiders, stumbling upon a group of Hadza painted in ash and armed with bows could be an overwhelming experience. In the Andaman Islands of India, aside from the Sentinelese, there are also the Jarawa. Though less hostile, they are still wary of outsiders and may react aggressively if threatened. Travelers who accidentally encountered them have described penetrating stares and weapons raised in total silence. Every second in such a moment feels like an eternity. And finally, back in the heart of the Amazon, there are still uncontacted tribes whose names we don't even know. They are called voluntary isolated peoples. Aerial photographs have revealed hidden huts deep in the forest, with people running to hide when planes fly overhead. No one knows how exactly they live, but just knowing they are out there, unseen and untouchable, is enough to inspire fear and deep respect. These tribes prove that despite globalization and technology, there are still corners of the planet where modern rules don't apply. Instead, traditions, survival, and sometimes hostility dictate life. Meeting them may be fascinating, but it can also be terrifying. It's like traveling back in time and facing raw, unforgiving versions of humanity. And now, I want to hear from you. Which of these tribes do you think is the most terrifying? Would you dare to approach an isolated community knowing the risks? Or would you rather keep your distance and only imagine what life is like for them? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. Because the world still hides incredible secrets. And here, we'll keep revealing every single one of them.